Welcome to the WestAF Public Art Archive Collections Management System demo. The PAA CMS is based on CollectionSpace, a web-based open-source collections management solution designed and supported by a diverse community of users. CollectionSpace is a web-based application which can be accessed anywhere you have an internet connection, Wi-Fi, or cell signal. Collections that sign on with WestAF hosting will be provided with a unique URL to log in to their staff interface. WestAF will also take care of all system maintenance, provide regular upgrades, and make sure your data is secure and backed up. We'll start with the Create New page, which shows the three main record types in the CMS. Objects describe the objects in our care. They can be owned or on loan or deposit, and they can be physical or digital. There's no bias in either direction. Procedures are those things that happen to our objects. They're acquired, they're conserved, they're given locations. Authorities are the controlled lists we use to manage things like personal names and geographic locations. We'll walk through a few procedures in more detail in a minute, but first we'll give a quick overview of the most commonly used. We would like to note that through roles and permissions, you can limit which users have access to which procedures. For example, you might give an intern working on an inventory the ability to edit storage locations, but only view everything else. Acquisition is the process of bringing new works into the collection. Through acquisition, you're able to capture information about when a work was acquired, how it came into the collection, for example, as a commission or gift, and extensive budget details. Condition check manages information about the makeup and condition of a work and serves as a place to hold recommendations about use and treatment. As you'll see in a minute, the CMS doesn't just hold information about a work's current condition, but provides a way to track it over time, so you might see how it changes after a year outside or after 2 years of kids attempting to climb on it at the airport. The conservation procedure manages information about interventive and preventive conservation activities. Once you've performed that condition check, you may go ahead and decide to do some work on the piece. Cleaning, reassembly, part replacement, technology updates. This procedure can be used directly by conservators or by administrators logging the conservation process. The exhibition procedure manages exhibitions of works of public art. These can be exhibitions of works that you own, works that are on loan or commissioned, or some combination. A user might use this procedure to create an exhibition of 2D work in the public library or as a way to pull together works for an art on loan season. Media handling manages all types of media related to an artwork and its associated procedures, and it's not limited to images. PDFs, movies, spreadsheets can all be uploaded, related, and described. For example, you might attach a budget spreadsheet to an acquisition, an image to a condition report, and a sales agreement to a deaccession. Valuation control provides a place to manage the value of a work, including space to capture insurance and appraisal information. At their most basic, authorities are used to control the words we use to describe our works, to consistently use rust instead of oxidation, or Man Ray and not Emanuel Raditsky. But with shared use of the PAA CMS, there's a real opportunity to advance the professionalism of the field. Because we can standardize language and terms using controlled vocabularies, we will be able to share data more easily, and our communication within the field and with our collaborators will improve. Let's go ahead and open a cataloging record. Our first record is for the work I See What You Mean, The Well-Loved Big Blue Bear by the late Lauren Sargent. As we move through the data entry form, I want to mention a few things. First, the data entry form you see here and all the features and functionality that we'll walk through are the same regardless of what you're doing in the system. You don't need to learn a whole new set of interfaces and buttons to work on an exhibition or a condition report. We have also included a number of widgets to help guide you or your colleagues into better data management. What do we mean by that? Things like providing number pattern generators that give you the next number in a given pattern. Field validation that won't let you put the wrong type of data into a field. Lots and lots of drop downs and controlled vocabularies, so you don't need to remember if you wrote Arts and Venues Denver with the word and or with an ampersand. Everywhere you see a field with a little plus sign underneath it, that's a place where you can add another instance of that field. Let's look at a few places where this is useful. Here we have the artist assigned title of this work, I See What You Mean. However, if you are online, searching the PAA for more information about interesting things you saw while you were in Denver, you're probably going to enter some combination of big, blue, and bear into the search box. So let's capture that title too. We'll tag it as the popular title so that it won't make its way onto official label copy or into a catalog, but we'll be able to search for it. Similarly, if we go down to dimensions, we can see that the length, width, and height of the work have already been entered in. But what if I need to move this work? There's another critical piece of information I'd like to have that doesn't fit so neatly into the length, width, and height fields. So let's create another dimensions group and add the weight of this object, 10,000 pounds. Very useful information to have. We'll save the object and take a look at the right sidebar. Here we have a contextual snapshot of this object, all the vocabulary terms we've used in it, and all the procedures it's related to. If we click on one of the vocabulary terms, we can see additional information about that term. Here we have the Colorado Convention Center, which is sometimes also called the Denver Convention Center. We can see the history of the Convention Center, a list of any social media handles, and the contact information or address. As I mentioned earlier, you can use the PAA CMS for objects that you own that are on loan, permanent works, or temporary works. Let's take a look at the record for Skylines, part of the City of Austin's Tempo Temporary Art Program. Temporary works are often not accessioned into the permanent collection, but may still go through the acquisition and commissioning process, and we still need to gather information about them. A few differences you'll notice from I See What You Mean. Skylines is noted as temporary in the installation type field, and if we scroll down to production dates, we can see that it was on view between June and August 2015. There are two types of dates in the CMS. Calendar dates, useful for things that have a specific date, such as the day a loan is due back, or structured dates. As you can see here, structured dates provide a lot more flexibility around description and search. If we just had a text string reading June to August 2015, I wouldn't be able to run a search on all the work on view in Austin in July 2015. By using the structured date, though, the entire range of dates becomes searchable for us. Now that we have a few great cataloging records, let's add some media to them. You've heard me use the word relationships a few times, and media is a great way to look at how relationships among records work. Collection space is a lot like the internet, meaning we create something once and then we link to it many times. In this way, we keep information in its rightful place. Cataloging information stays with the cataloging records, acquisition information stays with the acquisition record, and so on. With media, once we've uploaded an image or a video file or a PDF, we can relate that media file to any cataloging record or procedure where it would be useful. We might take a condition image and attach it to a location update and the condition report. A PDF invoice from a fabricator might relate to acquisition, cataloging, and valuation. So let's see how it works. The fastest way to add an image to a cataloging record is to start with the cataloging record itself and then click on the tab up here to go to Media Handling. Once in the tab, I can create a new media handling record, add whatever metadata I'd like, and upload the media file. Once I save this media handling record, it will be related to this cataloging record, but again, I can also relate it other places where it may be useful. Let's create a few media records for I See What You Mean. I've created a sample record for us to get started with. Note that the information in the media record is about the media file itself. For example, in the creator field, you'd put the person who took the photograph, not the creator of the work. To upload an image, click on the Select button and navigate through your file system to the image. Click on the image, save the record, and it will upload. Once it's uploaded, you can see that it will appear in the right sidebar of this cataloging record. You can click on that thumbnail to get a full res version of the image back out. Media handling is about more than images, though. I've already added another media record to this, which includes a short video showing the installation of the work. Now let's add another record for a PDF of an invoice for the concrete used in the installation. Please note that this is not a real invoice for this work. We give the media handling record a title, and again navigate through our file system until we see the PDF that we want. Save, and the file is uploaded. I'd also like to relate this concrete invoice to the acquisition record for this work, so let's pivot to make the media handling record our main record, and then via the right sidebar, relate it to the acquisition record for the work. Once the media handling record and the acquisition record are related, I can use the right sidebar to pivot to the acquisition record. Let's talk a little more about some of the other procedures that we use to manage our collections. We just linked this media record to an acquisition record and used the right sidebar to pivot to that acquisition record. You can see that everything on the right sidebar that looks like a link is a link, a nice benefit of a web-based system. Here in acquisition, we can capture all the information about how a work came into the collection, when it came in, and how we paid for it. There's a separate set of fields at the bottom of the procedure that let us capture additional detail about commissions. With this acquisition, for example, we can note the commissioning body and use one of those repeatable groups of fields to capture different projected and actual costs of the work. Location movement in inventory is where we track information about where an object is, where it's been, and where it's going. If we go back to Skylines, we'd like to know where it was located between June and August of 2015. We click to go to the Location, Movement, and Inventory tab. We use the number pattern generator to create a reference number for this record and then add in the location, in this case, the Boggy Creek Greenbelt Park. You can see that this field points to a few different authorities. You can pull organization names, geographic locations, and traditional storage locations. In this case, Boggy Creek is an entry in the place authority underneath Austin. We note the date it was placed there and save the record. Once the work is taken down, we can create a new location record to note where it was moved. In this way, over time, we build up a history of a work's locations, even if, like our bear, they don't move very often. So what happens when an object leaves? Whether it's part of the permanent collection that's being deaccessioned or a temporary work that's just being taken down, we'd like to know what happened to it. Let's take this very interesting sculpture as an example. The sculpture is made of plastic panels that over the years have degraded to the point where they can't be restored and the work no longer represents the artist's vision. The city has decided to deaccession the work. We go to the Object Exit tab where we can put in all the details about this work leaving, where it's going, and who authorized it. If it was in better condition, maybe we'd transfer it to another city, but in this case, we're just destroying it. The deaccession authorizer field points to the name authority, where we can choose the name of the staff person responsible for authorizing the object deaccession. And then we note the disposal method from the dropdown. We put in the disposal date and save the record. I do want to stress that while the PAA CMS supports all these different procedures, you don't have to use them. The system is very flexible, and it's easy to hide the procedures that aren't relevant to your collections. If you don't do loans, that's no problem. You can hide those procedures and decrease screen clutter. If you never capture any more information about an object than what's needed to submit to the PAA, not a problem either. There's a data entry template that hides all the other fields from view and just shows you that tombstone level. All work in collection space can be flagged for inclusion in the PAA. Each cataloging record has a Publish To field that you can use to note which records are ready to be submitted. Westaff will pull the data out of those fields and add it to the shared PAA repository. You can even use a template view to very quickly enter just the data needed for a PAA submission. It's always great to start small and then think about how entering more data might help with future planning, budgeting, and reporting. That completes today's online demo. Thank you for listening.